Welcome to Live It Up. And with me is Tim Healy, and his company is Healy's Solutions for Success, or Success Solutions.
Healy Success Solutions.
Oh, Healy Success Solutions.
Yes.
That makes a little more sense. Okay, so how have you been?
I'm doing real good. Thanks for having me, Donna.
Great, nice to have you here. And I know that you have this awesome radio show, so let's start with that.
Okay. The show is The Profit Express. It's on, may I say, every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on 88.7 FM, WRHU. And the show focuses on all topics from sales and marketing to entrepreneurship and beyond. And I like to have, a whole bunch of different authors, experts, entrepreneurs, even some business celebrities. I've had George Foreman on, Barbara Cochran from Shark Tank on ABC. You might have, I'm sure
I've
you've
met
seen
Barbara
her.
before when I was doing the British Airways face-to-face thing. She's awesome.
A lot of energy, love her. It was a great interview. So that's a great tie-in with the business, having the show The Profit Express. And, I work with a lot of small business owners here on Long Island.
Now, if somebody's not in this listening area, they can go to the website and listen, because that's how I did it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're kind of like national. You just type it in, and there you are.
Around the globe, actually, sure, on the internet.
And now, do you have call-ins to your show?
That we don't do. We
Okay.
don't do call-ins because it's an hour-long show. So, having Larry from Levittown call in, it could kind of slow it up. So we just go straight through with a live interview.
And what made you decide to do something like this?
Maybe partially ego, maybe partially it's a great tie-in for the fact that, the business community that I serve, my mission was to bring to them ideas, new strategies, new philosophies from whether it's authors, experts, some very successful entrepreneurs, because let's face it, being an entrepreneur, a lot of us kind of feel a little isolated. We're on our own island. So I just want to be, the voice of encouragement, the voice of inspiration, and that's what I've been able to do so far. And, knock on wood, it's been a good run.
Yeah, I think you really do help people. Do you go in and counsel them first and talk about, like, okay, let's take a look at your business? And
well, yeah, I mean, my focus as a consultant is very specific. When I walk into a company, I look at their sales systems, okay, and I look at from first point of contact all the way to close. And usually they're doing a number of things right, okay, otherwise the lights would be off and they wouldn't call me, okay, but there's certain points in the selling process that I could help them with, and that's what I could focus in on. Maybe it's prospecting, for example, or maybe it's negotiating or qualifying. So that's how I go in specifically to help.
And one of the tips I learned early on from my grandfather, who was a good salesperson too, is that it's not so much about the sales, it's about the sharing. It's like, here's what we're offering, here's why it might be a benefit to you.
Right.
Is this something that you see will work for you, and do you want to give it a try? I mean, does that it boils it down to the simplistic steps, but...
No, your grandfather was a wise man. Because I think salespeople, they complicate sales. It doesn't need to be complicated. And my philosophy kind of sounds similar to your grandfather's is, I'm not really here to sell you something. I mean, that's the end result, and I don't shy away from the word sales. It's not a dirty word, but I'm here to help you. And if I understand what your problems are, then I can get a good understanding if my solution is a good fit and if I can help you. And like your grandfather said, hey, try it on, see if it fits for you.
Right. What was your first job? What did you do when you were growing up, Tim?
The first dollar I ever made, and I'll never forget this, was shoveling snow for my neighbor. And when I made that first dollar, I was so excited. I called my father at work and said, "Dad, I made my first dollar." And I think that's where all the entrepreneurial juices started. But fast forward, I started selling hardware and software out of college in the early 90s, and that kind of led to Healy Success Solutions.
Fabulous. And I know that you like to travel. So how do you bring your show on the road? What do you do in order to help clients in different geographic areas?
Well, I've done actually a lot of traveling. Recently, Florida, Houston, Seattle, Los Angeles. And I don't bring the show per se, not the radio show, but...
I meant the Tim Healy show.
Okay.
The show of you, sorry.
We're on Live It Up Live. It's the Profit Express. Essentially what I do is I do a lot of observations. I will go in for a client and I'll do what we call a ride-along with their sales team. And I'll just observe, what are they doing in front of their prospects? What are they doing in front of their clients? I make observations and we do like a post-mortem, if you will. And it kind of gives me a great insight into creating specific sales systems for companies that aren't just off the shelf, but relate to what their sales forces are seeing in the streets, when their sleeves are rolled up.
A customized solution.
Exactly.
Is there one common denominator, though, that you see across the board that people traditionally are doing wrong? Like collectively, everybody at one like a stumbling point for people?
That's a great question. The first answer that comes to mind, and this is part of my mission, if sales pros, if business owners, entrepreneurs could learn to listen more. I know we hear a lot about listening, and listening is so important, but we all want to show the prospect and show a customer how smart we are, how valuable we are, which is one part of it. But in the beginning and throughout any communication you have with the client, you have to listen. And it should be 80% the prospect or the customer talking to your 20% talking, and just listen, because they'll tell you the story. They'll give you the clues and examples as to how they need help. So just shut up and listen. That's the common denominator.
Yeah, don't sell them the blue car if they're telling you their favorite color is red.
Thank you very much. Don't complicate it.
How can people find, we were talking about a pipeline earlier in the green room. You know, can you give us an example of that so that they can kind of get some value out of something they could start today?
Yeah, a great idea I like to share a lot is the pipeline. And if everybody could think of a few things here. The pipeline, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, you're a sales pro, think of the pipeline as your lifeline. Okay, it's easy to remember. And what I see a lot when I'm talking to sales professionals is pipelines, or our pipelines, that are bloated, okay, bloated with unqualified prospects. And a lot of sales professionals are so excited, well, I've got somebody, they're interested. Well, hold on a second, because you, me, or anybody else out there who owns their own business, we have limited time, we have limited resources. So what I encourage sales professionals to do is to find the people who really need your help. Don't be afraid to qualify somebody out of your pipeline. And here's an analogy. Think of your pipeline not as some big spreadsheet that you just keep throwing more and more people into, but think of the pipeline, your pipeline, as a table with limited seats. And each prospect has to earn a seat at your table. And it keeps you honest, and it keeps you qualifying, who would make the best prospect for your business.
It's a good idea. And who do you want to break bread with? Because in business, sometimes it's also working with the right personality and the right level of integrity with someone.
Absolutely.
So those are all ways that you can pre-qualify someone, whether or not you want to do business with them.
Yeah, because once you get involved with somebody, it could be a long-term relationship. You got to be careful.
That's right. And well, this is the beginning of our relationship, and I know that we're going to be doing some great things together, giving out some business tips.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait.
And so how can people find you? What's your website, Tim?
Well, the website is Healy Solutions, Healy Solutions.com.
Okay, HealySolutions.com.
Yes.
Okay, so for these great business tips and more, you can always reach out to us at liveituptvshow.com. Thank you, Tim Healy.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
The Profit Express, I think, is such a great name, too,